Okay, let's step out of the modern hustle for this explainer. Just put down the smartphones for a second and really step into a story. We're going to explore this fascinating narrative that completely nails the age-old battle between quick fixes and lasting mastery. So, if you've ever felt that pressure to just rush your work to get immediate results, or maybe you've wondered if the slow, agonizing process of doing things right is actually worth the payoff, well, this story is absolutely going to resonate with you.
We're kicking this story off in the incredibly vibrant city of Ethelgard. Just picture a place packed with merchants, the constant clinking of metal, the hum of industry everywhere. And right in the middle of it all, we meet two young, super ambitious artisans, Alara and Kale. Now, they both share this one massive dream, which is to master the incredibly respected craft of clockmaking. So they actually managed to secure these apprenticeships under the region's legendary master horologist. But the master doesn't just hand them a manual and wish them luck. Nope, he gives them a seriously daunting, borderline impossible challenge: produce a true horological masterwork.
And here is where you really see the pressure cooker they were stepping into. The stakes were literally as high as they get, because they had exactly 1 year to go from absolute scratch to a finished, enduring masterpiece. Now, 1 year might sound like a decent chunk of time, right? But in the world of master clockmaking, where literally every single gear and spring has to be meticulously handcrafted to interact flawlessly with the next, 12 months is just a blink of an eye. This super strict timeline forces a massive choice. How are you going to spend your most precious resource, your time?
So Kale's immediate reaction to this challenge is super telling. He goes right for the fastest shortcut. He looks at all those complex gears and delicate springs you need for a master-grade timepiece, and he doesn't see a beautiful, necessary process. He just sees obstacles. He actually rationalizes it to himself, thinking, why spend months filing each tooth by hand when I can just use thinner, stamped metal? He figures, hey, it'll shine just as bright to an untrained eye. And the real kicker? He can crank out a dozen clocks in a fraction of the time it takes to build just one properly. He is just totally consumed by the allure of the shortcut.
Let's look at exactly what happens when you run with that shortcut mindset. Kale just explodes out of the gate. In literally his first month, he churns out dozens of these decorative quick-fix clocks. He drags them to the market, and the townspeople are absolutely dazzled by the flashiness and, of course, the dirt-cheap prices. I mean, he's making handfuls of quick cash. He's building this rapidly growing reputation around town as some kind of young prodigy. He feels like a total genius. He's got money in his pocket, a famous name, and honestly, so much free time that he regularly uses it just to taunt his peer, Alara.
But while Kyle is out there acting like the toast of the town, Alara is hunched over a single, unfinished base. Honestly, to anyone watching, she looks like she's failing completely. She has exactly 0 clocks to sell, absolutely no money, and a workbench that's just covered in iron shavings in this weird, half-assembled skeleton of a machine. Even her own friends are mocking her for getting nothing done, and the local merchants have completely written her off as this foolish dreamer who just doesn't understand how the real world works.
But let's slow down for a second and really look at Alara's meticulous, grounded process. While Kale was busy stamping out thin metal, Alara deliberately chose the path of agonizingly slow progress. I mean, she spent weeks doing nothing but learning the complex metallurgy of the mainspring. She was testing the temper of the steel over and over and over until she knew for a fact it could hold tension for a full decade without fatigue. Instead of cheap sheets, she hand-carved her gears from solid brass. And the real kicker? She checked every single gear against a master template until the friction was practically zero. This right here is the unseen foundation. It's definitely not flashy, it doesn't get you any cheers at the market, but structurally, it is absolutely bulletproof.
So, right when Kaliel's method seems like a total slam dunk, and Alara looks like a walking cautionary tale of perfectionism, we hit the 6-month mark of their challenge. And we have to stop and ask ourselves a really vital question: what happens when a stress test inevitably arrives? Because whether we're talking about clockmaking or just life in general, conditions are rarely perfect forever.
The answer comes swinging in the form of a brutal, unforgiving winter. The environment radically shifts, and suddenly the ugly truth of Cal's quote-unquote efficiency is completely exposed. Turns out, cheap, quick-dry adhesives in freezing temperatures? Yeah, they don't exactly mix. The stamped metal instantly warps in the cold. The adhesives just crack, and those delicate, poorly tempered springs, they snap clean in half under the pressure.
Within mere weeks, the town square is literally littered with his broken masterpieces. Angry customers are swarming him, demanding refunds that, you guessed it, he's already spent. That glowing reputation of his completely evaporates overnight. Meanwhile, Alara had just finished the housing for her single timepiece because she spent the entire winter inside, meticulously fine-tuning the escapement mechanism. And when she finally steps out to reveal her creation to the town, it isn't just a clock. It's a literal miracle of engineering. Her masterwork kept absolutely perfect time, totally unaffected by those freezing winds. Its solid brass gears just hummed with this near-silent rhythmic precision. That same winter that completely destroyed Kyle, it merely proved the absolute greatness of Alara's work.
Looking at how this all played out when the dust and the snow finally settled, the true victor couldn't have been more obvious. Cale's obsession with speed just left him with a legacy of unreliability and a workshop stuffed full of broken dreams. But Alara, her patience and that solid brass foundation resulted in flawless timekeeping. She became, without a doubt, the most sought-after horologist in the entire region because she possessed a true masterwork that was built to stand for a century.
Stepping back from a story of Ethelgard and into our real world for a second, we can clearly define Cale's path. He was chasing what we can call the short-term small gain. This is a strategy that gives you a quick burst of excitement and highly visible results right up front. You know, it gets you the likes, it gets you the quick cash, it gets you that immediate praise. But it possesses absolutely zero structural integrity. It's a totally fragile victory that just shatters under the slightest pressure or change in environment. And honestly, we see this all the time in modern business, when we're trying to learn new skills or even just building our personal habits. Alara, on the other hand, unlocked the real secret: long-term consistent growth. This is a strategy where the results are completely invisible for a season. Like, you will actively look like you are failing to everyone else, but you absolutely refuse to compromise the integrity of the process just to build something quickly. See, the results of the short term are super visible right away, but they're fragile. The results of the long term, they're invisible for a season, but they are built to endure forever. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final, challenging thought. Cale completely mastered the art of being busy. He was always moving, always selling, always producing. But Alara, she mastered the art of being effective. The clockwork of success does not reward the person who moves the fastest. It rewards the one who refuses to compromise. So take a hard look at your own life right now, your own projects, your own goals. Ask yourself, are your current foundations built with quick, stamped metal, or are you taking the agonizing time to carve them out of solid brass? Because the winter always comes eventually. Make sure your work is ready for it.